I am Eric Tenkar. You are listening to the Tavern Chat Podcast. So, I've been asked over the years, how do you get a successful blog, right? And then I was asked, how do you get a successful podcast? And recently it's been, how do you live stream? And I think the short answer is you just do it. But there's obviously answers a lot longer than that. You have to build your community, and I really do mean it's a community, because you got to give something to your community of value, right? Whether it's words of wisdom, which I certainly don't have, or news or entertainment or reviews or whatever you're going to do. So the great thing about all these mediums, whether it's blogging, whether it's podcasting, whether it's live streaming, or just doing your videos, they're all free to do. I mean, if you have a computer, you can do it, right? If you want to blog, blogger.com is probably one of the easiest interfaces. There are others, but it's free. I pay $10 a year so I can have the domain name tenkarstavern.com. Simple as shit, right? I've toyed with the idea of moving it somewhere else. I really thought I was going to at one point, but I think that my community, my audience, pretty much likes it where it is. Maybe that's the great right format. I don't know, but the success for that is also consistency. I haven't missed a blog post, and I'm going to say about 7 years. I've gotten something up every day for 7 years, including my 3 hospitalizations this year, which tells you a shit ton. Maybe I'm fucking brain damaged, but consistency. You don't have to be somebody who puts a post up every day. I used to put up multiple posts a day. Can't do it. Now, I look at like Grognardia. Grognardia is back. Grognardia.blogspot.com. And James Mall is posting more than once per day. Eric Faberici. What was it? Oh, God, Eric, I'm sorry. I can't remember the name of your blog. It's Sorcery and Stitchery, or Stitchery and Sorcery, or something like that. It involves sewing machines, but these people post every day, sometimes multiple times a day, but you don't have to. However, you should have a regular schedule. If you're going to do 3 days a week, it should be the same 3 days a week. If you're going to do once a week, it should be the same day every week. People look for that schedule. That applies to your blog. It applies to your podcast, right? If you're going to do a podcast, again, just do it. However, I use Anchor. Anchor is free. Anchor is for the non-tech plebes out there. I'm one of them. I mean, there was a time I used to build my own computers. I'm long past giving a shit for that level of difficulty. I like something that is simple to set up and run with. So, my inspirations for being able to do my own podcast, I had participated in podcasts with others. They did all the tech stuff. I just put on a headset and yapped. Watching Jason Hobbs and Tim Shorts do their podcasts on Anchor was inspirational, and it showed me that I could do it too, and I have been, and it's been successful. But the success of the podcast is in many ways directly related to the success of the tenkarstavern.com blog. And the success for the blog, I always felt, was the community that formed around it and supports it. All right. And you're not going to, everybody that reads your blog is not going to become a listener to your podcast, because people consume information in different preferential ways. Not everybody likes to listen. Some people prefer to read. Some people prefer to watch. And thus we have live streams. Now, I've been doing live streams. We used to do them on Discord and never really got much of a traction. That was Mike Butterlotto and I, until we moved it over to YouTube/Facebook. Now we get very good traction on the live stream. great interaction from not the peanut gallery, but the live viewers. Now you can use YouTube to live stream directly. I use StreamYard. Now I pay with StreamYard. I actually pay, I think it's $20 a month, something like that. So I can stream to 4 destinations at once. I stream to 3. I stream to my main YouTube feed, my main Facebook feed, and the Tenkar Tavern community on Facebook. I could also add in, that cool thing that they do, like Alyssa Faden uses to do her stuff. It's not Zoom. I forget what the hell they call it. But in any case, told you, I am not technically inclined. But you can also use StreamYard for free. There's some limitations to the amount of use, but it's pretty robust for a free program. The biggest drawback is you're going to have StreamYard's branding on your live streams. But that's fine if you're just going to experiment with it, play with it. And if you're going to do it as a regular thing, maybe you want to go forward with it. Now, Mike and I also learned being consistent with our live streams. When we were first doing them, we were inconsistent. We would go, oh, shit, I forgot it was a Wednesday. All right, well, next week. But once you start doing it weekly, all right, once you have a regular, for Mike and I, Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, people know to look for us. They know that it's going to be up. Our live audience sometimes hits 20 concurrent viewers at a time, with close to 40, 50 people popping in to live. We're not talking about the views we get later on. Then we also have live streams that I've been doing on Friday nights. I do it with Glenn Hallstrom and Joe the Lawyer. We alternate who my co-host is pretty much every other Friday. Those are going to we're finally settling our time for that. It's again 8 p.m. Eastern. You can find the YouTube live stream at youtube.com/Eric Tenkar. I know I mention it every podcast, but I find this stuff interesting. And I find what's very interesting is when you look at the demographics, okay, and you look at the blog, and the blog's numbers are roughly an 85-15 split for your basic gender split. Male, female, 85% male, 15% female when it comes to the readership. Okay. When it comes to the podcast, that turned even more extreme. It's roughly 93% male to 7% female. It might be that my voice is not appealing to members of the opposite sex, and I can understand that. But I also think it's something about how, and there are differences amongst the genders, and that, again, these are general statements, okay? They don't apply to anybody specifically, but in general statements, genders will have their own, you can say, well, more women are more intuitive than men. You might have a very intuitive male, right? Men are more aggressive than women. You could find some very aggressive women out there. I think women prefer to consume content visually. And then I'm going to reinforce that when I go on to talking about the YouTube numbers. The YouTube numbers, it's 75% male, 25% female. Now, it could be because I've got sexy co-hosts, but we're all in our fucking 50s, and none of us are lightweights. And 3 out of 4 of us are married. I don't think anybody's coming to look at the male cheesecake. I think women just consume such differently. When it comes to age groups, yes, the major age group for all 3 media is roughly 40 to 60 years of age, but that is the age group of old school gamers in general. However, whereas the blog and the podcast have their secondary age group to be roughly that, 28 to 40 age group is their second largest demographic as far as ages go. For YouTube, second largest is people in their 20s. So think about that. The younger gamers are growing up on a visual, interactive media. They're growing up on YouTube. So now my YouTube stats also just include the live streams. They also include the podcast, which you're listening to, gets shared as an audio file with just a visual, pretty much static image on YouTube. And I think that YouTube is where a lot of the consumption of gaming news or gaming talk or game theory is happening for that generation that has grown up on YouTube. Just interesting things to think about and notice. And if you are going to, especially if you're an old school gamer and you're looking to get into creating content, not gaming content necessarily, but talking about gaming or writing about, you got to figure out what are you aiming for? What part of the audience are you looking to grab? And I would say that if you're looking to grab a younger audience, even as an old school gamer, you probably want to go to YouTube. You probably want to be creating that. If you are looking at an older audience, closer to the age of most old school gamers, and that's your primary thought, you might want to go to Anchor, Blogger, WordPress, But again, and if you want to aim more at getting a less gender skewed audience, certainly YouTube. And again, these are just my numbers. Your numbers can certainly vary if you start experimenting with it, and you're not going to start out immediately with an audience. I still remember having a discussion with some established podcasters when I kicked off this podcast, and a couple of years. Oh my God, it's going to be 3 years ago, and I was very pleased with the numbers that this podcast was getting as a download. And I was told, well, you're on Anchor, and Anchor is built-in audience. Not really. Very little of my traffic comes from Anchor. Seriously. But I believe that most of my traffic for the podcast, most of the downloads, most of the listenership were those that were part of the community that was already established with the blog. Think about that. If you want to do anything in this hobby, you got to start somewhere, and you got to start building. I'm going to probably do another episode on how to maybe not just build a community, but how to build yourself some name recognition so you get read or you get listened to or you get viewed. And none of this is foolproof, and a lot of this stuff is common sense, but consistency is certainly, have something scheduled. I do this podcast every day. I missed the podcast I did miss with hospitalizations. Kind of hard to podcast when you're sharing a hospital room with another person. Makes it kind of awkward, But consistency is the key. Folks, on that note, I'm going to keep this short because I got to get ready for a Tavern chat over on the Discord server. That's the Tenkar's Tavern Discord server every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern to roughly 11 o'clock. We hang out on the server and the speakeasy. We do voice chat. We talk geek stuff and generally have a very relaxing time. It's a good experience. So join us one night. On that note, we're in the midst of the world of COVID. I'm going to ask you to use your common sense, which should be a general thing that we all should have, but use your common sense to keep yourself, your loved ones, your friends, your family, your community healthy and safe. And knock on wood, I will see you all tomorrow. God bless. On that note, I'm out of here. Laters.